Good morning, good afternoon, and or good evening. Welcome to the Naval Cove Data Protection M365 User Offboarding Bootcamp. My name is Eric Harless. I'll be your host this morning, and we'll get started here in just a moment. I see I've got a few more folks that are getting logged into the system, so we'll give them a chance to get connected while we do some quick housekeeping and audio checks here. If I could have somebody in the audience, please confirm that you can hear me and that you can see the Cove logo and the Head Nerds logo on your screen. Just a quick comment in the questions section if you wouldn't mind. And since I'm not seeing that just yet, let me make sure I'm not on mute. Jerica Zach, thank you. Appreciate that. Always great to know that I am not talking on mute. I do that occasionally. Let's see. Make sure that we are in the right place. Yep, this is the right deck. So this is the inaugural kickoff of the M365 User Offboarding Bootcamp. The goal of this session is to help you guys with your monthly workflows around user management of M365 backup to ensure that you're not protecting unlicensed, shared, billable, deleted mailboxes that are no longer of value to your organization, to show you some of the enhancements we've made in product, some advanced scripting work, some reports and views that you guys have access to as well. But more importantly, just to make sure that you're running your environments the most optimally and efficient ways and not wasting licenses and or fees in places that you should not be. We will be talking today about some features and functions that are being developed in product and showing off some things that have been recently released over the last few months or last quarter as well. So product will evolve. If you're watching this bootcamp from a recorded perspective, then you may have those features in product now. So check for those functionality before reverting to scripts and some of the tasks I'm talking about today. Okay, good deal. Looks like we've got most of the attendees in, so let me kick this thing off officially. We should have our recording going as well. So I'm going to take a quick reset here and we'll start so that we've got a good cut for the Naval University. At any point today, if the audio does break up or if you've got questions, drop them into the question section and go to webinar and I'll jump in and grab those in real time or during the QA section of the session today, okay? So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the Enable Head Nerds Cove Data Protection M365 User Offboarding Bootcamp. My name is Eric Harless, your head backup nerd here at Enable. And today in this session, we'll be going through some common steps to identify and clean M365 offboard capable users. And those could be users that are converted from a licensed mailbox to a shared mailbox, but still have OneDrive data being protected historically. They could be users that are unlicensed or that are deleted, still consuming Cove data protection licenses for historic retention, even though they're no longer billable or licensed inside of Microsoft. So I'll be showing some various tasks within the console so that you can identify those users very quickly, set up reports so that you can have those showing up in your dashboard and know you need to address them before end of month so they can be cleared out if needed. From a billing perspective, and then we'll go through some advanced capabilities and some scripting that you can use to do in bulk across your organization, okay? So with that, let's make our lawyers happy. We will be talking about things today that could be considered forward-looking statements. That would be features and functions that development are being considered for future updates. I will do my best to preface anything that is not yet generally available as a forward-looking statement. Please don't make any licensing or purchasing decisions based on features or functions that have not yet reached a GA state. Even if we do get you into an early adopter, an alpha, or a beta preview of something, the function could change materially before it is released or even not be released based on changes in the market and changes in directions, okay? Our quick agenda for today, obviously introductions. We're going to kick straight into demo mode with live console. We'll talk about the permissions that are required in order to manage M365 backups and user offboarding. We'll look at identification, how you can figure out that you've got users that could be offboarded. Just because they could be doesn't mean they necessarily need to be. So it is worth looking at those users versus a bulk deletion. We'll go through the user offboarding process inside of the dashboard. We'll look at how you can set up some dashboard reports and views to make it a little bit easier to find this information in bulk across multiple M365 domains. We'll set up an email report that you can have delivered to you on a regular basis. And then finally, we'll look at an advanced script that can allow you to do that bulk offboarding with some filters across multiple domains very, very quickly. Q&A at any point in the question section of GoToWebinar, and then we'll wrap up with how you can take next steps, schedule some one-on-one time with me from a nerd perspective to go through this or other topics and look at upcoming events and other trainings. Okay, with that, let's get a little bit deeper into it. I don't see any questions or comments just yet, so hopefully everybody is here eager and ready to learn, right? For those of you that have not met, my name is Eric Harless. My role here at Enable is that of Head Backup Nerd. I've been with the organization over 11 years now, the entire time working on Enable backup products. The first 5 or 6 of that in product management, the remaining time in this head nerd role, working to be a advocate or champion for the product and to grow that channel, looking for effectively like-minded backup nerds and backup gurus, backup wizards that can help support the community through advanced use and exploration of the product. My career in the space, 25 plus years, backup, disaster recovery, business continuity, replication, high availability, sensing a theme there. Sales, support, system engineering, and product management functions, predominantly product management, and I just consider this nerd role an extension of the outbound function of product management. If you would like to reach out to me via social media or via email or on various platforms out there, you can typically find me. My email is eric.harless@n-able.com. You can reach me on Twitter or X at backup_nerd, and I will give you guys a QR code toward the end of the session today that you can use to schedule some one-on-one nerd time in my calendar. Okay. So let's kick straight into the demo portion of this. We're going to use a live Cove dashboard. This is our SE demo environment in order to go through the M365 offboarding. And let's see if I can find the right window. Beautiful. So I've got my Cove dashboard here. Let me take this guy full screen or near full screen, it looks. Got a little bit of overlap at the bottom there. That's kind of interesting, but we can deal with that. So in my SE demo environment here, I've got my donut charts shrank at the top, but as you can see, we've got 64 servers, 16 workstations, some documents devices, and 7 M365 domains. For those of you that aren't familiar with this or are new to Cove, you can click on a particular category, whether it be servers, workstations, or M365 domains, to filter on just those items and those objects. So here we can see just those environments, but it is still part of my all devices view. So I've got some basic columns here: active data source, selected size, my last 28 days from a color bar perspective, timestamps around success, retention, billable users. So you can see over here on the far right, 3, 6, 25, 1, 19, 24, and 5. This billable users column is the current billable users count as it stands right now based on the last backup of each of these domains. So if you've had users that have been onboarded or offboarded at some point in the last week or 2 weeks, it is not going to be reflected necessarily in this number. This is what it looks like right now. If you've added 4 users and then removed 4 users, this number could stay fairly flat, even though it is now at 29 instead of 25 unique users over the course of the month. So please don't do your end of month billing for your customers based on this number unless you are looking at a fairly static user count. There are other methodologies of pulling that billing information. You can pull it out of a export by grabbing a maximum value report for a given month. That maximum value or high watermark report will show your billable users per domain for any prior month or for the current month that you're on. There are other ways through our e-file that can be downloaded through the Enable Me portal or some upcoming billing APIs that will be released. We are actively looking for beta and alpha users for those APIs. So if anybody is interested in getting API level access, please feel free to let me know in the question section, and I can get you into a preview of the billing API so that you can pull this out programmatically. Okay. Leo, hey, good to see you. Glad you're here. Glad you're joining. Appreciate you hopping on the boot camp today. Let's see. So the first thing I wanted to talk about inside of this dashboard, in order to interact and work with M365, to purge historic users, to remove data for a given user inside of a domain, you do need to have security officer permissions. In order to do restores, in order to add domains, you do also need to be a security officer, a super user, and have global admin credentials for the M365 environment. When you added these M365 domains, it prompted you for that global admin, and it installed the Cove component as an application that utilizes those credentials to do the authentication behind the scenes, which means your global admin passwords could change, your MFA could change. We don't require MFA for you to go in and do the backups or to do the purging or the cleaning, but we will require you to be an appropriate level user, and in some cases, such as restore, require you to re-enter those global admin credentials based on current updated passwords, okay? If we look at the user section here on the left-hand side, it's my little stack of people here, or if we've expanded it, you'll see it as users. Give me a second there, I'm having trouble with my mouse today. User section here, we'll notice that I've got quite a few users in here at the super user, security officer level role. We've got multi-factor authentication, which is on by default, can't opt out of that. This is going to help ensure that the users that are in the environment are secured and controlled, although I would recommend periodically coming in and taking a look at the last login time for your users. And if you've got user accounts that are in here that are NOC level accounts, just support at your domain, or users that have not logged in a long time, that don't show API, that don't show 2FA configured, I would recommend removing those, or at least demoting those users by hitting the 3 dots here and dropping them down to something with a bit less of a role, such as supporter, which is a read-only level user, or actually purging that user out of the system. Somebody can always come back and ask for access versus you leaving access that is not being utilized. So identifying the environments that have M365 users in them that could be offboarded could appear to be a little bit tricky at first. I'm going to show you some tips and tricks to make it easy for you as we go along. But let's first just start by coming in and sorting on M365 domains. And we'll scroll all the way over to the right. We'll see we've got billable users here. And I'm just going to pick on any one of these. We'll grab the one with the largest number of users, 25 billable. We're going to click on that and dig into the domain itself. Once I'm in here, we can see how my backup history is going. I'm getting Exchange, OneDrive, Teams, and SharePoint backups happening throughout the day. Processed user counts, processed sites, processed teams. Looks like there's been no errors here recently. That's great. If I come into either my Exchange, OneDrive, my SharePoint, or my Teams environments, that's where I make selections. This is where I'm going to choose which users I want to protect and then turn off that functionality. Their Exchange backups, their OneDrive backups. We can see right here, there's a conference user that is unlicensed and not detected from a OneDrive and Exchange perspective. It's a shared mailbox, so it did back up the shared mailbox last on today at 6:32 a.m. So that's great. So I'm getting good protection here for licensed and unlicensed mailbox, and we are categorizing those here over on the left. So there's active, deleted, licensed, unlicensed, protected, unprotected, regular and shared, and we can filter on these just to see just my shared mailboxes, for example. And this one looks really interesting. We see here's a shared mailbox, but it's still showing a license for Exchange, a license for OneDrive, and we can see that it's got recent completion for OneDrive and Exchange. So while it has been converted to shared inside of Microsoft, we've not went through the appropriate offboarding steps yet inside of Cove to make this a unlicensed shared mailbox from a Cove perspective. So we can see I've clicked on shared. I got 3 here. 1 shows as licensed still. 2 shows unlicensed. All 3 are being protected. If we come into SharePoint, same kind of functionality, we'll be able to see what of my SharePoint sites are active and deleted, which ones are protected, which ones are unprotected. And we've got the ability to come in and purge history or offboard the backup history for a given site if that site is no longer needed from a recovery perspective. As you can see, I've got multiple versions of some of these sites available. Teams, something also very similar. We can see the active teams environments, protected teams and unprotected teams. We can see this based on the number of users that are involved in that team and the number of teams owners. And the teams owners are the ones that impact billing from an M365 perspective. So you don't end up deleting users here, but you could choose not to back up individual teams if it was, say, content that was considered community but not business function, for example. When doing offboarding, however, we're going to do that inside of the Protected Users tab. There is one more thing that I want to point out before I do that. You'll notice on the teams, on the SharePoint, right here, add new sites, and then in the Exchange OneDrive, add new Exchange, add new OneDrive users to backup. If any of these are checked and turned on with this green check, it means that new users added in, new sites, and new teams added into the environment will automatically get selected for backup unless you've come in and previously unselected them. So coming in and unselecting them and leaving these turned on will not re-add them, but new ones coming into the environment would get automatically included. To figure out where we start with an offboarding, we've added some functionality into the console under the protected users section for a given domain. So a lot more categorization, a lot more pills, a lot more filtering here to determine what is configured, and a ability here on the right-hand side with a new column designed for offboarding. I'm going to shrink my left-hand window here a little bit just to give a full view of this. Let's start by looking at billable users. From a Cove perspective, there are 25 billable users here. So I filtered on just that, and we see the 25 total. There's 27 Exchange protected, meaning a couple of them are probably unlicensed or shared. 25 OneDrive, 10 SharePoint users, and 6 Teams-based users that are triggering billing environments. We can see 24 of those are regular mailboxes. One of those is a shared mailbox. 6 of those are tied as Teams owners. There are 2 that are deleted. And as we filter and sort here, we can see Teams owner, licensed, billable, deleted, unlicensed, and showing up as billable from an M365 perspective. Deleted, unlicensed, showing up as billable. Teams owner, shared mailbox, Teams owner, licensed, showing up as billable. So we've got a handful of environments here that we can work to clean up. If you don't really understand, well, what's holding on to this? Why is this item still staying as billable? We can see here it's a deleted user, it's unlicensed, so it's not being charged inside of Microsoft. You've purged it out of your M365 environment. We've got the billable moniker here, so let's go up here and just mouse over. Shared mailbox users are billable if either the OneDrive, SharePoint, or Teams backup history is detected. It happens if the mailbox was previously backed up as a regular mailbox. You can hit the learn more here, and it will take you into documentation that will give you more details on why that condition exists. So it was licensed, it was protected for 3 years or 3 months, but since it's been deleted out of M365, it's went to the recycle bin, it's then been purged, we're holding on to it in here should you need to pull this user back for some period of time. If we determine that we no longer need it, I can come over here to this deleted user and decide to offboard it. By hitting the little trash can, it's going to let me know, warning, this is cannot be undone. When we offboard this user in this state, it's going to remove all Exchange and OneDrive history. So Exchange and OneDrive will no longer be possible for this named user, and it will remove it from the backup selections, meaning it won't try to back this mailbox up any longer even if it still exists in the deleted items inside of M365. So I can hit confirm here for it to be deleted, or I can hit cancel in order to revert it back to the way that it was. I'm going to leave this in a canceled state. What you would want to do if you no longer need this user would be to hit confirm, and it will then purge that user out. Come the next backup run, we'll see this as no longer being registered as a backup billable user, and come the following month, it would be pulled out of your high watermark counts. So imagine an environment here with 1,000 users, and you've had turnover of 5 to 10 users per month for the last couple of years. You could have dozens, if not hundreds, or even thousands of users that are in here that you're holding onto as deleted, as shared billable, as unlicensed users that you may need to clean up or may want to clean up. And you might ask, well, why wouldn't I clean all of them up? Well, they may be users you need to keep. From a compliance or an industry perspective, you may need to keep that user mailbox for 3 months, 6 months, a year after it's been deleted out of M365 and that license has been reclaimed. As long as you're going to keep those, they do or could remain billable inside of Cove. So you want to have that discussion with your clients, understand what their requirements are for keeping mailboxes above and beyond the deletion time. Is it 30 days? Is it 90 days? Is it a year? And you may want to generate some reports inside of this environment by hitting export to show them who the individual users are, and they can help you with identifying users that can be cleaned up and former CEOs or people that are under legal investigation that they cannot have purged out of the system right away. Okay, so not just a click and forget it, something you may need to do a little bit of research on. Just checking questions here really quick. So Leo had made a comment here. So a licensed mailbox has a 100 gigabyte mailbox size. Unlicensed mailbox size only has a 50 gigabyte mailbox size. So there might be a reason why that shared mailbox is licensed. Yeah, absolutely. So if we are detecting it as a licensed shared mailbox and we see OneDrive history still that's being backed up, hasn't been purged out, or is historically OneDrive data, we'll keep it in a billable state. If it has the OneDrive purged, then we'll see it as a shared mailbox and we will not bill for that particular mailbox. That's regardless of whether it's a 50, 100, or what the actual size of the mailbox is. Okay. Good question, good comment. If you want to know when the last time this particular GJ or this customer CD mailbox was protected, you could come back over to the Exchange tab. And let's see, we can see here GJ deleted, unlicensed, it's got some OneDrive history, and we can see completed. The last mailbox backup completed on 10/25, the last OneDrive completed on 10/25. So it has been a couple months since it was last protected. It's been purged out of Exchange now, and we could choose to come in and offboard this particular user. And we could delete just the OneDrive history or the Exchange backup history or all history here on this tab. In this case, I'm not going to purge it out of the environment because I don't want to get rid of it. I do another version of this boot camp later today, and I want to make sure I've got some good examples in place for it. Okay. However, a deletion of the user would show up in your audit. So as you can see here, in the last 28 days, Brahms come in and done some restores. We'd be able to see delete actions as well. Let me come in here and take this out into the past a little bit, and we'll see if we can find some delete actions. January the 1st, use, and we're looking for delete backups. So we can see here Brahm came in and deleted some backups for some users here, 10/31 and 11/24. That's the same action that would happen if I were coming in and doing an offboard for those users, all showing up inside of the audit. Let's take this a little bit further with one other domain before I get into some other use cases. There was another question that came through before I do that. Yeah, maybe off topic, but archive mailboxes. I noticed it's now listed in the features under development. Is there an ETA or a preview for full availability? If you'd be interested in getting into the preview for that one, I can definitely help you out there when it is ready. The work is being done on it, and they're talking about a customer preview right at the tail end of the first half. So that would be probably the June-July timeframe. But yeah, they are working on protection of the online archive. There is also work being done on Restore to or Export to PST. I don't know if I have an ETA on that one just yet, but any of those advanced M365 features, if you'd like to get into a preview of that, feel free to make a comment in the question section, and I will get your information over to product management so they can recruit you when it is time. Good queries. Let's see. Just checking other questions here really quickly. Okay, so Leo's just giving me some context on how he deals with users that leave organizations, and so a lot of folks do that. Actually, maybe I should clarify this one. So a typical operating procedure that I get from most MSPs, not all, but most, is that when there's a user that leaves an organization, they will convert it from a licensed mailbox to a shared mailbox. They will go into the OneDrive data and restore that OneDrive data into SharePoint so that it can be shared out to, say, a manager or a placement employee. They may turn around and restore the mailbox data, if it's related to work function, things like that, into a subfolder of a replacement employee so that it can be accessed. And they'll keep that shared mailbox around for any incoming emails and or other environments so that a manager can respond to those queries coming into that former employee. And then they will purge that after some period of time. As Leo was saying here, that he'll have cases where he may rename a mailbox so that content's available to a new user, effectively just reusing that license and putting a new replacement user inside of there. If you have an immediate replacement user, I can understand it. If you don't want anybody to log into that account, you want to lock it down and change it. If you need to set multiple email addresses so that things route from the old user and the new user's alias, that's a possibility as well. There's lots of different behaviors there. Obviously, you want to do something that's going to be able to allow you to use or reuse your Microsoft licenses, since they're not going to give you credit for those, and it's not going to cause you undue issues from a history or a recovery perspective or a backup perspective. So, there's really no wrong or right way, other than just holding onto everything forever and not realizing it. If you are going to keep around deleted mailboxes, shared mailboxes, unlicensed mailboxes from a backup perspective for 6 months, for a year, or longer, you do want to make sure that you are appropriately billing your clients for those and not going into the hole when it comes to protecting those domains. Good feedback, guys. Let's grab one more here. Let's see who we can find. Billable users, we'll sort. We'll go into this 19 billable users here now and check it out. We're going to go to protected users, and let's see, we've got licensed, 3 unlicensed, I've got 2 shared, so we're going to check out the 2 shared. One is billable, one is free. So it looks like shared mailbox, unlicensed, free. This one's working appropriately. So we can see that it's just got the exchange data that's being protected here. Technically, I could still offboard Megan if I no longer needed this shared backup to be retained. And if I go over here and hit my little offboard user, it's a shared mailbox and it can be backed up for free. Learn more about that one. But if you still really know you need to get rid of it, then you can confirm and it will actually offboard or purge that user out. So we're warning you that you're not paying for this. Do you really want to keep it, or do you want to purge it? This one here at the top has OneDrive history, so we're going to check to offboard that. And this is a shared mailbox that can be backed up for free. Learn more. We could choose to offboard the exchange in addition to the OneDrive by checking this box, or we can leave it like this and it will only remove the OneDrive history. So it is very explicit about what's being removed and what is being retained. You just don't want to get fatigued, and make sure that you are reading these pop-ups effectively here. Or if you need to do this in bulk and you have to click through hundreds of users, well, 100 users at 100 clicks, 200 clicks, 300 clicks could be a little bit time consuming. So I will show you scripts and automation that we can use as well, until those features are built into the Cove dashboard. We are working on advanced bulk offboarding of users as well, okay? Let's see, dashboards. My next topic is Cove dashboards. We're gonna hit the Cove icon in the upper left-hand corner here to take me back to my dashboard view, and I'm looking at my all devices view. We built in a predefined view for you, and we've updated here recently within the last quarter, and it's called the M365 backups view. We're going to select that right here, right now. And if you've looked at this previously, or if you've got reports set up based on this, you might notice it's a little bit different than it was before. We've updated this now that we've released SharePoint and Teams functionality to include all of the color bars for each of the individual data sources. I show you the total billable users here early on, errors and the last backup status, configured or active or previously configured data sources. It is true that if you had backed up Teams at one point but then removed it, then it still would keep this Teams moniker here because it has historic protection of Teams. And then we can scroll over to the right a little bit more and see things like protected user mailboxes, protected OneDrive mailbox, user mailboxes, shared SharePoint mailboxes, Teams protected owners, the auto add. This was what I was showing off a little while ago. We can see auto add is turned on for all of these data sources. So there's lots of really good information visible to you here. And with this dashboard, you can see what's going on just for your M365 estate. I do have one enhancement that we can add into this that I'm going to encourage you to do, and that would be a new column we've added for offboarding. So we're going to come over here into columns. We're going to go up here to the search and immediately search for offboarding. And you can see there is an M365 offboarded billable users column, D9F27. Once again, that's a D9F27, and that's important. So I'm going to copy that out here and utilize that in an advanced filter here in just a moment, but we've turned it on and we're going to hit save. So what that's done is added a new column over here on the far right, which is M365 offboarded billable users. These are potential users that could be offboarded based on their configuration. Anything would have thrown that little warning pill inside of the domain itself. I'm going to grab it, drag it over to the left here so that we can get it where I want it, and put it right next to billable users. So you can see now that I've got billable users and potentially offboarded users. So 1 of my 3, 4 of my 6, 3 of my 25, 1 of 1, 3 of 19, 3 of 24, 0 of 5. What is that? 3, 6, 7, 10, 15 users at, I don't know, a buck, a couple bucks per user could add up over time. So these are definitely users you'd want to look at. Now that I've got these in here, I've dragged my columns around the way I like them. I'm going to come up here to the right and hit Save View. Since this is a predefined view, I can't override it, but I can save it as a new view. So we're going to call this M365 backups offboard. And I'll hit save. So that's my new view name. Let's make this a little bit more creative though, because I really don't care about this one right here that does not have any users that are going to be purged out. So let's make an advanced filter. We're going to come up here into my search bar. I take that back. Let me do it a slightly different way. We're going to come over here to my filters, and we're going to come into here and go offboard. Search for off. M365 offboarded backup billable users. We'll tick that box. And we want to do, I'm looking for billable users that are, 1 billable user. So that filter created a nice little filtered view in my system here. Offboarded billable users is 1. When I utilize filters like this, it creates advanced views or advanced filters. Those advanced filters can be seen here by clicking the search bar and changing to the advanced search. And what you'll see is account type equals 2 and D9F27, that's the new column, equals 1. Well, I don't want equals 1, I want greater than equals to 1. So we'll adjust this around a little bit. So we've got account type equals 2, that's your M365, 6 of those, and offboarded users is greater than or equal to 1, or I could do greater than 0, I guess, if I wanted to. So, either type of configuration works. So this is a slight additional modification of that filter to remove any ones that don't need or don't potentially have offboarding. So we're going to come up and hit Save View one more time, and we're going to go offboard, and I'll modify the name just a little bit, and we'll call it greater than 0. So we've got my view or my dashboard setting up here that I can work with in the future, and we've got an exact list of ones that I need to go through and work with on a monthly basis. How do I make this even more useful? Well, let's turn it into an email view. So we're gonna come up here, hit the 3 dots, send as a scheduled report, or I can do it over here on the left-hand side with scheduled reports. Either one is the same functionality. If I go into scheduled reports, I can add a new schedule, set up my internal recipients. These would be users of the console. and I want to send out this M365 backup offboard greater than 0 report. What's the name of the email, the subject of the email? So it's going to come up backup and recovery, or I can make this action needed if I like, and maybe we'll go Cove, action needed, and then the view name, which is going to be M365 backups offboard. I can insert other variables here too, such as a device count or a last backup in the last 24 hours counts, things like that. If I wanted to get more statistics inside of the subject, how frequently do I get this report? I want to get this report once a week on once a week on Monday at 3 a.m. my local time. Table and summary. Send the report if it's empty. That way I know that there is nothing for me to do at this point in time. And I can save that schedule, and I can send it now to get that report in my inbox. Let's see if I have that. Mailers. And I've gotten quite a few reports here recently, so let me do a quick send and receive. Completed. We'll do a quick search on this one here really quick as well. M365. Cove action needed. Perfect. So while that's loading up here, Cove action needed, M365 backups, offboard greater than 0. We've got 6 devices or domains that are being identified here. We've got summary information on that when they've all completed their backups in the last 24 hours. That's great. A link to log into the console so I can go in and take those actions. And you can see the columns. You're going to get the first 10 columns that exist in that view. So if you want to get more information or different information, just rearrange those columns before you save it. But we can see here 1 of my 3, 4 of my 6, 3 of my 25, 1 of 1, 3 of 19, and 3 of 24 are potential users. Not guaranteed, but potential users you may want to offboard in order to reduce Cove license counts or to fit within customer compliance requirements. Once again, both important, or both could be very important. Log into console is going to take me directly there. Now, if you want to send this report to somebody that's a non-user, there is a section in that report template to send to non-users. This would be external recipients, and those external recipients have to opt into the email, and they do not get a link to log into the console. They wouldn't have credentials or access rights to log into the console, so they would just get a visibility to it, but not a actual access. Let's see, that's my dashboard, that's my email reports. So let's take it a little bit further and talk about how I might do this inside of bulk. I want to check my questions really quick too, see if I'm on track here. If I've missed a question, anybody, please feel free to chime in on it again. It will pop it up to the top of my screen. The real estate on this second monitor is a little bit tight, so I want to make sure that I'm not missing something because of scrolling. But I think I've commented on everybody's items so far. So let's talk about bulk. In order to do bulk scripting or bulk cleaning of these users, I've put together a sample PowerShell script. It is a turnkey script. We'll use it here to go through and look at these domains here momentarily. I need to get back to my PowerPoint, however. And let me give you some reference here. So that filter that I showed you a minute ago, D9, F27 greater than 0, that's the advanced filter. If you want to take a screenshot of that one to add into your own environments, feel free to do that. The script that I'm getting ready to utilize is available on my GitHub page. It is available in the automation cookbook. It will be moved over into the development portal once we update or the readme.io site for our new APIs and recipe cards. If you can't find that one, feel free to capture that QR code or my email address from a little bit earlier. It's inside of GoToWebinar, and I can drop you that link if you need it in the future, okay? The GitHub, let's start with that. So the script we're going to utilize here is available on my GitHub, and that's going to be right here. So Backup Nerd, github.com/backupnerd. We are in the repository backup scripts, and if you go through the tree, there's a section on M365. Inside of there, there's a M365 reporting PDF. There's a M365 user cleanup 24.11.01a. That is the most recent version of this script. Although if you did save a bookmark to it or something along those lines, if I've updated the version, you may need to come to this site. So keep the full path. It makes it a little bit easier. There's other reporting for statistics and building pivot tables and things like that. But for offboarding, this is really the only one that you need. You can click on it from here. Once you've clicked into it, you can see the content of the script. I'll take us through it here a little bit before I run it. But to download this, come over here. You can right click on the raw option and do save link as, or you can hit the little download raw file button here, and it will bring this out as a .ps1 file. You may need to go in and set the execution levels. If for your PowerShell scripting, you may need to choose to trust this particular script since it's coming from an external source. The script does give basic troubleshooting for unblocking scripts, PowerShell execution, running as administrator, versions, things like that. So there's almost 100 lines of syntax and how to use this if you need some help getting started, including all of the various parameters for the script. I'm going to go through a handful of those today, though, while we run it, just to get you guys familiar. If there are questions or comments, though, I do keep my contact information available in the email, in the script. So my email address, how you can reach me on Reddit, on Twitter, and so on. I'm going to bring this up inside of VS Code. It's going to be a little bit easier to work with. I like the color coding and so on, but still working on that same version of the file. Let's start with behavior. This is going to check, get, or store your secure credentials for the Cove platform. So it's going to use your login. And as I said earlier, you need to be a security officer, super user with API level access, in this case, in order to run these scripts against that environment and be able to actually clean up those users. If all you want to do is report on the users that could stand to be cleaned up, you could run this with lower level credentials. It's going to check your partner level. It's going to enumerate partners and give you a GUI select up so you can pick partners if you choose, and we'll see that, I believe, in my environment, or I'll be able to specify the partners. It's going to enumerate devices and allow you to GUI select which M365 domains you want to report on, although you could adjust the script to support all partners and all devices. It's going to export out the selected domains, give you a list of users that are protected, not protected in both a both a CSV and an Excel format. It's going to then allow you to optionally identify shared billable. Items can then be deselected for removal, or selected or deselected for removal. It's going to identify deleted shared. It's going to look at unlicensed mailboxes as well. The various parameters in here, default switches, default timestamps for when was it last deleted, when was it unlicensed, when did the OneDrive last get protected, so that way you can choose to skip mailboxes that until they've been removed or deleted for more than 30 days, 90 days, 180 days, 365 days. So it gives you a bit of a filter there so that you've got a little bit of buffer from the time it was deleted before we purge it out of Cove. And it can generate reports, or it can take generate reports and take action, and you can be very selective on that. Some examples from the command line: you can pass export paths, what you're going to clean up, and the time frames for cleaning up unlicensed or cleaning up shared billables in the command line. Different timestamps for different types of data sources that you're wanting to clean up as well. And then, of course, the troubleshooting sections. Script parameters. You can see here I've got things like export combined true. This is going to generate out a report combined for all of the users that are inside of M365 that you can look through and choose who you want to protect or not protect. It's going to export out a shared billable report. It's going to give us a prompt to clean up shared billable, and it's going to look at OneDrive age greater than 31 days. Same thing for unlicensed, but look at unlicensed greater than 32. Then it's going to look at deleted, and it's going to look at deleteds that were deleted more than 33 days ago. And the reason I've got different numbers here is so that when we look at the prompts, it'll be a little bit easier for you to distinguish which one we're working on cleaning up, okay? Choose where you're going to do your exports and your out in the script. We're going to just by default drop it into the path where the script is contained. It does require PowerShell 5.1 or later. And of course, as I said, your Cove credentials. So let's kick this guy off really quick. We can see the available script parameters here that are options for the script. The name of the script here in the subject of the script window. Any parameters that I have set. All partners, all devices set default, so it will prompt me for that. It's going to pull out up to 10,000 domains into a single report. Giving me the shared information, attempt to clean it up after 31 days. Report, clean up, report, clean up as well. And here's my path, comma delimited. So this would work with international environments where you're using semicolon delimited. You would just edit that delimiter in the script. It found my Cove credentials, so it did not prompt me to re-authenticate. It stores those encrypted on your machine. The first time you run this, it's going to want to know your partner name. That's the name that shows up in the center of the console. So for example, for my SE demo environment, if I were to go back to let's see, if I come back into here, SE demo, it's my login partner. If it's got an email address on the tail end of that, that's your login partner. It would be a combination of the partner name and the email address. You can simply click on this, come to it and copy the partner name to the clipboard and paste that into your script, okay? So it found my partner name, my user, it's using a stored encrypted password. It did do a quick feature check, and it did find out the current user I'm logged in as is not a security officer. And then I said that in order to delete historic backup data, I need to be a security officer in my environment. So this is going to give me all the prompts for it, but it is going to actually fail when it comes to deletion time because I don't have the appropriate rights, but you can still run the reports. So we'll go through the behaviors without actually purging that history, okay? So we are going to determine what domain we want to do or what MSP or partner level we want to do a lookup for. I'm going to look across my entire SE demo infrastructure. And I will get a quick pop-up, and that is because I chose all partners and all devices as false. Setting those to true would automatically use my partner name for my login. It would automatically select all of these and start the generation of the report for you. So it can be fairly automated behind the scenes. These are all of my customers and sub-customers under SE Demo, seeing customers and sites. I could pick an individual domain if I wanted to, or individual customer. In this case, I'm going to work at the root level, the parent partner, and tell it okay. This is going to come through and enumerate all of my M365 domains. Here we can see selected quantities, used quantities, my color bar over the last 28 days. Let's check out errors, billable, offboarded. So here's my billable users, here's my offboard user counts. So the same columns I added into my view a little earlier. Let's come through and pick just a couple of these. So we've got 2, 3, and 6 potentially. Oops. Here that we could offboard. So I'm going to run just these 3 domains as a combined environment. These are all domains being hosted in the Netherlands. So it might take it a moment or two longer to get the data as it's going across the Atlantic. Pulling out my users, it is going to pipe the data to the console as running through and running the reports, but it's also building CSVs and an array behind the scenes that we'll take a quick look at. Elapsed time for the run of the script here, so 341, 42 seconds, so 2 seconds on this run, maybe 5 to 7 seconds on the next one. We'll see how long that goes. If for some reason it takes a long time, you're going through hundreds of domains here, it does renew it or re-authenticate periodically, I think every 10 minutes or so, to ensure we don't time out or have authentication tokens expire. And I'm just checking for pop-ups here on the screen. There we go. So here's my outputs. So a CSV file for my export shared billable and my export unlicensed users. So we see a couple reports here. The first pop-up I got was unlicensed mailboxes due to historic mail or OneDrive retention greater than 32 days. So it looks like it didn't find any shared mailboxes that I could clean up in the users that I selected, and it went straight to the unlicensed. There's only one user. He's under European Software Services. Here's the user, the name, the email address. They're considered billable. It's a protected mailbox, although the mailbox has been excluded. It's unlicensed now. The mail last completed on 8/21. And let's see. OneDrive is protected, it's been excluded, it's unlicensed. The last OneDrive completed on 8/21. So yes, it is historic OneDrive data that's being kept around that is causing it to show up as billable. And we can see the user GUI and the account token. Those are Microsoft references. We're going to keep this guy selected. I can pick multiple if there were, and I would OK, and that will purge or attempt to purge that user out of the domain. Because I'm unlicensed here, I'm going to get an error. So operation failed because of security reasons. API user does not have security officer rights. You see that error where it attempted to attempt that removal and that deselection. And then it moved on to my exported deleted users. Another pop-up. So there's 4 deleted billable non-shared mailboxes. So deleted mailboxes that are here, greater than 33 days since the last time they were protected. So we can see those timestamps here for those mailboxes. We see the email addresses and the domain. So these are all under European Software Services. And we can clean out a couple, 2 or 3 of those if we like, and hit OK. It's going to attempt that same deletion, and it did fail once again because I don't have appropriate rights. Now we're looking at deleteds shared, non-billable. So these are slightly different configurations. So we're slicing and dicing your deleted mailboxes 3 different ways, so that way you can get a little bit more granular about the types of mailboxes you keep and the types that you are purging out. So we'll go through these. We're going to keep all of these. These are all employees that I want to maintain. So we'll just hit cancel and skip that operation. And then finally, you get a path to the credential file where it's stored. You also get a path where the list of devices, the user exports, the full list of devices and users exist, so that you could review this type of information. Let's check that out really quickly. We'll go back into my script, file, open file. We can see here the folder where it did the M365 cleanup. It created a time date stamped folder, so January the 16th, 2025, so year, month, and day. We'll go into that. And we can see the full output. So we get my devices in CSV and Excel for SE Demo. Let's do this in something that's human readable. So here's the spreadsheet for that. And as we scroll over, we can see the color bars and everything from a visible perspective. So a nice report of the domains that I've chosen to report on. Here's my export deleted, export shared, and unlicensed. So the 3 different exports as they related to cleanup. And then here's the full user list as an export in CSV and an Excel format. So we'll go to Excel, full users for every single domain that was selected. And as we scroll to the right here, we can see, is it considered billable? Is it a new? Is it deleted? Is it shared? Has the mailbox been protected? Is the mailbox selected or excluded? What kind of mailbox type is it? When was the last mailbox status? And what was the status? Is Exchange automatically included as new users are added? All my OneDrive statistics, all of my SharePoint statistics, and then of course my GUIDs and account token information, so that I can reference it against Microsoft exports from the API. So lots of information here. Obviously, if there's more columns or more information you're looking for, feel free to reach out to me. There is definitely more I can do with this, but not unless I've got some valid user requests for it. It can be fully automated, although I would only recommend taking it so far with automation. It does really benefit you to have a human looking at this at least on a once-a-month basis to understand, yes, these are all email addresses that I can get rid of, or these are some that I don't want to get rid of. It is feasible also to expand the script to include a do not delete, do not purge field. So either listed by GUID or listed by email address or name, listed by one of those fields to say, if we find somebody like this that is eligible to be purged, skip it, do not purge this email address or this GUID. So I've talked to partners about it, but haven't really come to the need to actually build it into the script. If it's something you'd be interested in, though, feel free to book some time with me and we can talk through the implications and how we go about doing that. Now, I've mentioned booking time with me a couple times. So how do you do that? Well, you'd start by snapping this QR code, either with your phone or a screenshot of the presentation slide. This will give you my calendar out about 6 to 8 weeks. You can use that to book some one-on-one nerd time. We can talk about bootcamp leftovers, office hours, defects, features, support cases, escalations, whatever it is backup related that you want to talk about. Just let me know when you book the call, your company name, what you want to talk about. You'll get a 45-minute slot on my calendar. I'll try to come prepared for our meeting. It is also going to ask you to confirm that this is not a critical support ticket, meaning you're not submitting this because you've got a technician on site, a server down, customer looking over your shoulder kind of environment. If you do have those type of critical calls, I do still encourage you to open a critical support ticket with Cove support so they can help address those issues in a timely manner. My calendar may only show availability within the next week or within the next 3 weeks, depending on what I'm doing event-wise, schedule trainings, travel, and trade shows. And while I'm not saying I don't want to help you, feel free to open those critical support tickets. And when you get the ticket back in your email, go ahead and add me into the CC. Let them know you're copying me for visibility, or if you need my help on an escalation, work on that through email. This particular book a call is just not really appropriate or not timely if you've got a server down or critical type of restore. Okay. With that said, let me check my questions again really quick, see if there's anything outstanding. What do you guys think of this today? Is this something that's going to be useful for you? Do you see a opportunity to utilize the script to do the offboarding inside of the GUI? Are you looking forward to more enhanced functions in the product to do those offboardings? Would you like to get into an early adopter or a preview for any of the M365 archive, PST, bulk offboarding functionality? If so, let me know in the question section and I can pass it along definitely. I see a few folks have opted into that, so that's great. Let me just keep scrolling down here. I think I'm doing good. So I think I've addressed really all the Q&A. We're right at the top of the hour. I kind of budgeted for an hour to hour and a half on this one, so I think we are doing great if there's not any additional Q&A that is going to come up. Couple quick wrapping pieces before I throw up the final poll. Upcoming training events, I do have additional boot camps that are going to be offered. Running this session again this evening, this afternoon. I'll be running it for the Asia Pacific region as well. Each of the other head nerds runs through a series of boot camps each month. These are free trainings. I do encourage you to visit enable.com/events and look at the various head nerd events that are out there and register for those if it is content that would be appealing to you. If you've got feedback and suggestions for those nerds, once again, please give it to them so they continue to improve and expand upon content that is valid for you. In addition to the events for the boot camps and office hours, we do have our upcoming partner conference. It's going to be available in Berlin, April the 7th of this year. We are doing, I think, some promotions and discounts right now for registration. If you guys are interested in getting into that, we will be conducting Cove certification trainings, or at least the first of our certification training modules at Empower Berlin this year. As a teaser before we break out the full certification to partners. So that'll be on my plate as part of this, as well as roadmaps, Ask Me Anythings, and several other Cove-related sessions amongst obviously other Enable product offerings. Head Nerd blogs, each of the nerds do put together a blog series as well. So those are available to you, enable.com, QR code here. and you can sort, filter, or subscribe to the various nerd blogs. You will see a blog coming out on offboarding, kind of summarizing some of those tips and tricks that I mentioned today from an offboarding perspective as we get a little bit closer to the bulk offboarding release. Okay. I do want to thank you for your time and attention. Feel free, as I said, to schedule some time with me, reach out, hit me on social media, connect with me on LinkedIn or any of the other platforms that are out there where you can find about upcoming boot camps, upcoming trainings, new scripts, and new automation that are being done. You had my GitHub link as well. Feel free to subscribe to that. I will notify you guys additionally as the new as the new developer portal becomes available. We start to move scripts and automation over into that environment, as well as any API updates. So a lot of different channels for you for upcoming information, and a lot of exciting things coming in 2025 as it relates to Enable and Cove data protection. Thank you, everybody, and have a great day.